Hello, 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 and welcome to another edition of Cat Chat. There we go, live from Montana's Rib and Chop House. All right, how about for everybody who's here and live? Hello, lovely to see some friendly faces once again, and got a great show planned for you. We'll talk some men's basketball, women's basketball. We'll talk with Tricia Binford. We've got Leah Beatty coming to the show. We've got assistant coach Andy Hill, and of course we've got head coach Danny Sprinkle. Coach, how we feeling?
Doing good. Glad to be back home. I know that. Ooh, that was a little loud there.
It's okay. We're getting it. Live radio.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's good to be back home. Just landed about 2-3 hours ago, and had a couple early morning wake up calls 2 out of the last 3 days. So looking forward to tomorrow morning.
Yeah, it's been a busy, busy day. So 3 games in 5 days, really for both teams, and everybody in the league's got to do it at least once.
Yep.
But it is tough. It is a grind. I mean, let's just get to the schedule because people probably don't totally know. But we play Thursday night and then Saturday early evening. And I don't know, how long does it take you after a game like that to kind of calm down and relax a little bit? It's not like you come off a game and you're like, oh cool, I'm ready to go to bed.
Yeah, no. The adrenaline doesn't wear off really until the next morning. It's hard to sleep that. It's hard to sleep that night, and it's hard to even get up the next morning. But especially during conference, even you're just back up and at them, and you're scouting for the next opponent.
Yeah, that's how it goes. So, okay, we play Saturday night, and then we've got Wheels Up at 7 a.m. on Sunday.
Sunday.
Yep. And then so that means leaving the brick at 5.
Yep.
Wheels Up at 7. We got the layover, get into Lewiston, get there, go practice, get the guys loose a little bit.
Yep.
What's the philosophy on that? I mean, obviously you don't want them just sitting around, but, what's it like when you're just trying to get those guys to kind of get the plane out of their body?
Yeah, the main thing I wanted to do was to get to the hotel. We had about 2 hours before practice and just get in bed and rest.
Yeah.
And then we just kind of walked through. We didn't do much at all in practice and shot. And then I wanted to get them back in bed to be ready for tomorrow night. Obviously it didn't work too well, the first 8 minutes of that game, but it's just hard travel. It's Big Sky travel, and getting to Moscow is always hard because it's either a 9-hour bus ride or it's 2 flights, and then you still got to take about an hour in the cars.
Right. Yeah, and I know for Idaho themselves, when they're traveling out, that's an hour and a half drive to Spokane almost every time for them just to start their trips.
Yeah, unless they may fly out of Pullman too, probably sometimes, or even Lewiston, which we flew into. But yeah, no, it's hard. It's hard.
It is what it is. And for the guys at least able to get back, because classes start tomorrow for them?
Yep, tomorrow.
Okay, so nice way for them to end their month-long break.
Exactly. I'm sure they're really looking forward to getting back to class and seeing their fellow students. And we can't wait to get them back, for the men's and women's games, to get the fans back, the students back in the field house.
Yeah. We saw the biggest crowd of the year so far.
Yeah.
About a little over 3,000, 327. In that game against Weber, so nice and loud. And like you said, we'll get plenty more students in there, too, to start ramping that place up.
That place would have been rocking if the students were there. It was loud anyways, but I can't imagine what it would have been like with 1,000 students in there.
Well, I think the loudest point was probably at the end of that first half against Weber State, if you remember some of those plays. Let's talk about that just a little bit. Montana State, in the second of the 3 games this week, won 67-52 against Weber. And Weber's good, as they always are every year as we go through the Big Sky, and got off to a nice start, had a little bit of a lead, kind of going back and forth. But, boy, that defense really turned on, and that sparked the offense for some big-time plays.
It did. That started everything. The first 2 games of the weekend, the defense translated into offense. And, we did a tremendous job. It really got our energy going. We had some, we call it first to the floor, but guys diving on the floor, getting loose balls. And that's how Raekwon had 2 of his big dunks.
Yeah, that one-hand windmill slam was something else, man. You don't see too much of that even in the NBA. We got a chance to see it there.
He never seems to amaze me. He jumps so effortlessly. It's crazy. He just floats up there forever, and he does it on his jump shots too. But he's really exciting to watch, and that's why I think obviously the fans were going crazy.
Yeah, that really ramped things up. And what are some of the other dunks maybe you've seen that we haven't seen in a game? Because you can't get as crazy in a game, but that was still, that was a full 360 rotation. How crazy are some of his best dunks?
They're crazy. He could be in an NBA dunk contest, for sure. He does some things after practice or even in the summers. And he can do it when he wakes up. Like he's just a natural athlete to where he doesn't even need to stretch to do half that stuff.
It's wild, man. That was fun, but that definitely seemed to change the complexion and really kind of open things up at the end of that first half. Had a 20-point lead going into break in that game, and a big reason why was that late run at the end of the first half. Jabril Bello in this game had another 17 points. He went 5 of 6. In the Idaho State game, he put up another fine performance with 16 points on 4 of 8 shooting, got to the line 8 of 9. And I know the free throw shooting has been a little up and down, but it was certainly up over the last 3 games. And Jabril Bello feels like he was kind of the guy that was really pushing the charge on that.
Yeah, we came in the morning last week, all week, and had the guys come in different groups, and we shot probably about 125 free throws each, in the morning. But it pays off, because we just told them, trust the work that you're putting in. And obviously, they had confidence, and they're capable of shooting like that. We even shot well last night at Idaho. And, hopefully we can continue that through the year, because in order to win in Big Sky games, you can't, you got to shoot well from the free throw line.
No doubt about it. All right, we're going to step aside, but when we get back, we'll continue to talk about the week that was for men's basketball, and we'll also talk about last night's game at Idaho as well. All right, we're taking a break from Cat Chat, presented by Learfield. Welcome back to Cat Chat, live from Montana's Ribbon Chop House. I'm Keaton Galogly alongside head coach Danny Sprinkle, and we want to remind you at Montana's Ribbon Chop House, our staff is dedicated to creating extraordinary experiences that raise the bar in each of our communities. Enjoy premium steaks, fresh seafood, and award-winning baby back ribs. We look forward to sharing a little Rocky Mountain hospitality with you. All right, Coach, let's talk a little bit about this game last night, a close game, a 74-70 loss. And, Idaho came into this game. I know they were 0-5 at the Big Sky, but obviously they're better than that. We knew that going in. Devontae Moffitt's a great scorer. Isaac Jones is a great scorer. After we had slowed him down, he put up 42 points in a game, so we know they can score. But really, it was that start. I mean, a 12-0 run by Idaho. Did you feel like it was the travel that kind of played a role in the slow start, or was it something else?
No, I thought it was the two physical games. It was the game against Idaho State and then the game against Weber, and then a little bit of the travel. I mean, all of it kind of accumulated, and our guys they looked tired. Especially that first 9 minutes of the game, and we just didn't have any energy or juice, and we couldn't get any shots to go. We had some great looks, we had some layups that we missed, and as you know, with college kids, a lot of times their energy goes as if the ball's going through the hoop or not.
Yeah, that is how it goes. But, I mean, look, you did battle back, and this game was a game that went right down to the wire even after that slow start. How'd you feel like you did get that energy going? Like, what kind of turned the tide to get this thing close?
Yeah, we went to our 1-3-1 defense, and we got some stops and we got some steals. And, Raekwon had a nice dunk, got some other layups. But, we just couldn't get over the hump. We cut it to 1 3 or 4 times and had some layups where if we could have just got that lead, we could have really put the pressure on them. And we just couldn't get over that hump.
And Devontae Moffitt in this game had a big game, 32 points in this ball game, 7 assists. He shot 23 free throws, which was 2 shy of the Big Sky record for free throws attempted. He shot 23 of their 26. There was only one guy, Nigel Burris, had 2 free throws at the end of the game, but that was it. He's a great scorer. I mean, obviously he got away a little bit with the 32 points, but it did also feel like he was making some pretty ridiculous shots in that game.
He did. He made big shots, especially in the last, kind of 6 minutes when we cut the lead to 1. It seemed like he was one of the guys that made a play every time. He made tough floaters. He made even 2 shots over Jabril where, we've all seen Jabril how he comes over from the help side and blocks shots, and he threw it high off the backboard and got him to fall, and we needed him to just miss 1 or 2 of those.
Yeah, and I mean, Bello was setting up camp in the post there. He had 3 blocks in this game, so it wasn't like he was just missing things.
Yeah.
I mean, he was already deterring a lot of shots in that game.
Yeah, no, he did, and they're really hard to guard, especially with Jones, who's the Big Sky Conference leading scorer, and he's such a presence down low, and if you put Moffitt in the middle of the floor, you can't trap him because then they got open shooters. Which a couple of them made us pay too. Dominique Ford made some big threes.
Yeah, 4 of 7
at critical times for them that were kind of backbreakers against our 1-3-1.
Yeah, and it did feel like there was a little bit of basketball gods in their side when Michael Hanshaw was in the game at the end of that first half. I know. He was in the game at the end of the first half only because of foul trouble. He had attempted 1 3-point field goal in his career. It did not go in, and then he put up kind of a late Hail Mary 3 that just dunked on the back iron and
stuck
rolled
on
in.
the rim and rolled in.
That was not a shooter's roll.
No. But like you said, it's one of those. It seems like every team we play makes one of those, from Eastern Washington banking a 3 or, the ball getting tipped up for a rebound and 2 guys going up and the ball just going in the basket, and so hopefully we've gotten our fill for the year and none of that stuff happens anymore.
Yeah, I do hear the basketball gods are pretty ruthless, but they're at least fair, so I'm sure it'll even out.
Yeah, they need to be fair this Saturday.
Yeah, all right, well, let's talk about it a little bit coming up here on Saturday. It is Cat Grizz Week, so it did feel like we had to wait just a little bit longer with that Monday game, but the women will be going at 2 p.m. over in Missoula. The men will tip at 7 p.m., so the doubleheader. This is a Montana team that is also coming off a loss against Eastern Washington, so they're a game under 500 right now, but obviously they're dangerous. They've got a lot of experience. What are some of the characteristics of this Montana team? What do they do well?
Yeah, I mean, they're really. 3 of their 4 losses have come in the last basically 45 seconds, and so they're good. They're big. They're physical. They got Josh Bannon, who's one of the best players in the conference. They got another big, Deshaun Thomas, who can really shoot threes, a transfer from Colorado State. And so they pose a lot of problems because their big guys are skilled and they play on the perimeter. And so, Great and Jabril, they're going to have to – they got their work cut out for them. They're going to have to guard on the perimeter. And we're gonna have to defend with a purpose. Kind of like we did against Idaho State and against Weber, to give ourselves a chance to win it in the end.
Looking forward to it. It's going to be fun. All right, Coach, appreciate the time, appreciate the insight today, and we'll talk again on Saturday.
You bet. Thank you guys for coming. Go Cats.
All right, head coach Danny Sprinkle. We're going to take a break, and before we dive into some women's hoops, we'll be joined by assistant coach Andy Hill after this timeout. We're live from Montana's Ribbon Chop House, and you're listening to Cat Chat, presented by Learfield. Welcome back to Cat Chat, live from Montana's Ribbon Chop House. Want to remind you that Universal Athletic has been a proud supporter of Bobcat Athletics for over 45 years. Shop their great selection of Bobcat apparel and accessories for all your game day needs. Shop in-store at their North 7th Avenue locations or online at shopmsubobcats.com. Go Cats. All right, I'm Keaton Galogly, joined by assistant coach Andy Hill now. Coach, how we doing? How we feeling?
I'm doing good. Just got a little yogi in and ready to roll.
All right, I like it. Just got to get that plane out of the body, yeah?
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely.
Well, with the guys starting class tomorrow, the long trip, give them the night off from Cat Chat. And we can hear a little bit about your story and your perspective.
Yeah, you get stuck with me.
Oh, darn. All right, so Coach Hill, your first year here at Montana State. You'd been at New Mexico before this and had been at Utah for the previous 10 years before that. So a lot of different experience, but tell us a little bit about how you hooked up with Danny and how you ended up here in Bozeman for this season.
Yeah, well, Danny got stuck with me. I had been in the Big Sky. I graduated from Eastern and coached there as well. And obviously down the road, for a few years, and then at Utah and New Mexico. So Danny and I have known each other a long time, and I wanted to get back this way, and I really enjoy working for him, and that's important, the where you live, the people you're around, the culture of the team, culture of the program, all that stuff factored into it. And so I'm happy to be a Bobcat and glad to be in Bozeman.
Yeah, no doubt. Now, so was there overlap when you were at Eastern and Danny was here as a player?
Yeah, when he was playing, I was kind of a volunteer GA at Eastern back in the day, and I knew of him then, and then over the years we got to know each other, just recruiting and coaching, and him being a Montana guy, and having lived in the state. So
it's a small coaching world, isn't it?
It is. It's a big world, but in the basketball world, it gets pretty small pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you have another connection, too, don't you? So Brian Preby, who works on the radio broadcasts for us for the home games, he was coaching over at Eastern when you were there. Is that right?
He was, yeah. Brian and I have known each other a long time, and then obviously he was at Montana State as an assistant for a few years and knew him then. Yeah, so it's really a small world, and good to see him here. And I obviously worked with Coach Hughes, Brad Hughes, who was an assistant when Danny played, and then obviously head coach here, and actually stayed with him this summer for a little while. So it was good to reconnect, and it's like you say, it's a small basketball world, and get to catch up with a lot of people. It's been fun.
Yeah, what kind of coach was Brian Preby? Like, what was he like as a coach?
He was high energy. Brian he was a positive guy, very energetic, fun to be around, taught me a lot. And back then he was really young. Not that he's old now, but those guys taught me a lot. It was a good experience.
It's funny, even on the radio broadcasts, Brian still has a little bit of that, like, stoic coach look.
Yeah.
Where he just, like, doesn't react.
Well, it's probably puzzled.
Well, I'm talking, like, even some of the bigger plays, like, even when Raekwon goes wild, or we see these alley-oops, or we see big dunks, big defensive plays, the positive ones, he doesn't even react. It's just like he's got that stone coach look, and he just looks right down, marks his sheet, and keeps on keeping on.
Yeah, I'm not sure it ever really leaves you. You'd have to ask him, but probably so. You do it long enough like he did, and you kind of become accustomed to it and just focus. So, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, what's that like from a coaching perspective? Like, because from a fan perspective, we see a big play and, you're going nuts because it's exciting. That's the whole point, right? I'm focused on describing what I just saw, so I'm reacting. But for coaches, man, you all, like, even in the biggest moments, you just see everybody stone or immediately turn and start talking to somebody. Like, what is going through your mind during those big plays? Like, because you're thinking about the next thing up, right?
Yeah, I think the key to it all is never getting too high or too low. Whether it's wins or losses or plays, you try to stay in the middle and stay consistent. I think that the head coach and the players appreciate that about guys involved with the team, assistants or personnel. You can't be on a roller coaster. You gotta be steady, especially with as many games as we play now and all the stuff that's out there and the travel. You just can't be too high or too low. So I think that's the main thing. You try to stay in the middle and stay consistent and be poised.
Yeah. Speaking of the travel, with all the experience you have in the Big Sky, like, how much has it changed? Like, is it still fairly similar, or was it much different when you were over in Missoula or with Eastern?
Yeah, I'm just growing accustomed to it. I would say this, like, having 3 games in 5 days and having to go on the road is not something I think should be part of a conference schedule. It's never been part of a conference schedule anywhere I've been. That seems a little odd to me, and then to do it twice is odd. But over the years I've learned that's the hand you're dealt. You got to play the cards. But 3 games in 5 days and traveling, that's no picnic for sure.
Yeah, no, it is what it is, and just keep on going. And it's in the rearview mirror for this stretch now. Well, let's talk a little bit about this team now and what you're doing. I want to start on the defensive side. From your perspective, tell us a little bit about just the growth defensively and how it's all kind of come together for this team so far.
Yeah, well, I think you have a bunch of new guys. There's a core from last year, but there's also some guys that hadn't played last year a ton or weren't here last year, and so they've had to adapt to the culture that coaches created defensively, and that starts with hard work and starts with just buying in to playing defense on every possession. I think some guys have grown in the past couple months that way, and that's allowed us to be a better team. I think we got to keep getting better, and last night we kind of regressed a little bit in some areas. I think there were some things that attributed to that, but at the end of the day, We hadn't really gotten beat off the dribble like that, and some mistakes that we made that we hadn't seen. So obviously we got to reevaluate and keep getting better. But I think guys have grown in the past couple months defensively and really kind of, as Coach called it, up the ante and bought into it. And that's the biggest thing. I mean, defense really gets down to hard work and some focus to the details, and that matters, especially when you're trying to guard good players.
Well,
So-
got a couple of really good players you were guarding yesterday, and
Yep.
I know obviously Moffitt did what he did, but Isaac Jones still, again, only 4 points in this game. I think he ended up with a combined 10 points in the 2 regular season meetings against Idaho. What do you see from Jabril Bello, first off? I'll ask you about Great, too, but what do you see from Jabril Bello and the way he defends and what he does well on that side of the floor?
Yeah, Jabril, he works hard, and he's physical, and that matters. And he takes it personal. When a guy like Jones is scoring like he does, I think Jabril's popcorn gets popping. He's ready to roll. So he did a nice job, and we do some things, double teaming to kind of help out, and then playing enough zone like we did last night. Coach alluded to it, playing the 1-3-1 allowed us to keep him out of traditional post touches. And so I think a combination of that really helped in the 2 games that we played him. But obviously it starts with Jabril being physical and establishing in position and not getting pushed around easily.
And then when you're watching, Jabril and Great Osabor working together, there's not many other teams with the Big Sky that can support those types of bigs out there. What kind of advantage is it when you've got those 2 guys together? Like, how much fun can it be? How creative can you be defensively with 2 guys like that on the hardwood at the same time?
Yeah, it gives you some flexibility, and Greats played both the 5 and the 4. He did a pretty good job on Jones from Weber at the 4 spot guarding him. His physicality, and he moved and bodied him up, and that really helped us in some stretches of the Weber game. So that definitely provides versatility. And then with foul trouble and conditioning, having flexibility at that spot and a guy who's versatile allows you to buy some minutes and keep them fresh, hopefully, the best we can. So Great's done a good job, and I think he can continue to develop and grow and keep getting physical but be smart while doing it.
Yeah, just a few fewer fouls for him, and he's going to have those minutes start to climb a little, yeah?
Yeah, correct. If he would find a way to stay out of some early foul trouble, he would be able to play some more minutes. That's kind of attributed to some of his stretches where he hasn't been able to play as much.
Is it just over-aggressiveness, or what are you seeing?
Some of it's just, a little bit of that focus and discipline mentally not to commit a foul. Sometimes you gotta be physical, but you got to be smart, going over the back or a silly reach, just those things that you got to take out of your game in order to stay on the court.
Yeah, sometimes that ball just looks so big and juicy, you just want to reach there and
That's
grab
right.
it.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah. All right, finally on the 1-3-1 zone, you kind of talked about it a little bit, Danny did. So much fun to watch when it is going. And I mean, Raekwon Battle's kind of the tip of that spear. How much fun is it watching Ray at the top of that 1-3-1 zone and what he's able to do to disrupt opposing offenses?
Yeah, his athleticism and instincts. You got to have somebody up there with some instincts, and Ray has basketball instinct. One of the things I think that hurt us a little bit was Patty McMahon was decent at it as well, and not having him up there with his length, and it just isn't as imposing when you put a smaller guy up there. But Ray does an excellent job, just instincts and athleticism and quickness, getting his hands on balls. It's helped us win a couple games. And then, obviously, Patty, while he was healthy, he was good at it as well.
Right, yeah. Well, the game that comes to mind, of course, is the Southern Utah game where he was in that.
It's bought us some other stretches and games, though. It keeps you out of foul trouble, hopefully. Defense isn't used to it. A lot of them probably don't practice it. So I think it's helped us in some stretches.
All right. Well, assistant coach Andy Hill, appreciate the time today, and looking forward to the rest of the year in Cat Grizz on Saturday.
Yeah, thank you very much. Have a good night. Appreciate it.
All right. Assistant coach Andy Hill. We're going to take a break, and when we get back, we'll dive into some women's hoops with head coach Tricia Binford. We're live from Montana's Ribbon Chop House. You're listening to Cat Chat, presented by Learfield. Welcome live to Montana's Ribbon Chop House for Cat Chat today. Want to remind you that Montana's Ribbon Chop House has been serving Rocky Mountain communities for over 20 years. Our ability to grow has come through our commitment to Rocky Mountain hospitality, a concept which incorporates a casual attitude with our commitment to loyalty, safety, service, and quality food. We hope you'll be our guest at one of our Montana locations soon. I'm Keaton Glogally, and we're going to change our attentions now to some women's hoops, and we're joined by head coach Tricia Binford. Coach, how we doing?
Doing well, Keaton. Welcome back to Bozeman.
Yes, it was one game, but a lot of days.
Yeah, for sure. Travel in the big sky, right?
That's okay. We knew what we were signing up for.
That's right.
Just
yeah.
is what it is.
It is what it is.
Well, and you guys had a heck of a travel week as well. I mean, a normal one, but going on the road for 2 games to Idaho State and Weber State this week before coming home for that win last night at Worthington Arena. But you guys had a chance to go to the Big Sky Conference offices. Is that right?
We did. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We kind of set that up pretty early. Daniel Sally, our director of ops, kind of got that scheduled for us, and John Casper, I should say. There's so many Johns over at the Big Sky Conference office. But Casper, he did a really good job just doing a little bit of a tour, talking about thoughts on scheduling and media rights and what they do for the Big Sky tournament. It was just really helpful for the kids to hear a little bit of the history and the background and things that they're doing from a social media standpoint. So it was a lot of fun, and it kind of broke up a little bit of that ride as we were getting ready to head over for our practice over at Weber State.
Yeah, did anything stick out maybe for the players that they didn't know was going on there, just between a thought that goes into stuff or social media or anything?
That is a great question. I think probably just how well they do from a Big Sky Conference office. I mean, they're kind of in the top 5 right here in the nation as far as publicity and viewership and people following them. So they do a really good job. And some of those things sometimes kids are maybe a little bit less aware. And so as a conference, we're doing a really good job, and getting the ESPN Plus has really made a big difference. Get the Big Sky out there as well. And so there was some discussion on that, and that was helpful for the kids to hear too.
Yeah, well, I love it because that's the only way I can watch you guys play.
For sure. The part I didn't know is the internationals. Both us and the men's program, we have so many kids from overseas, and ESPN Plus isn't available for international student athletes, and so that is one of the things that they're working on, because we'd love for our families away from the United States to be able to watch our kids play too.
Well, for now they'll just have to listen to
That's right. They're going to have to listen to the great voices of the Bobcats and you too.
All right, well, let's get into some games here. Let's start with the Idaho State game, a 60-57 win in this ball game. Lexi Deaton had 16 points on 7 of 11 shooting. This was quite the back-and-forth affair, too. 21 points in that first quarter, 7 points in that second quarter. But Idaho State's a great defensive team, and even though it was a little back-and-forth early, it looked like you guys were able to just kind of hold on to that lead and play with the lead the whole game.
Yeah, small trivia. I didn't even know this until after the game, but our associate head coach, Sonny Smallwood, said that Idaho State was previously in the top 2 in the nation in scoring defense behind South Carolina. So they are hard to put points up on the board against. Traditionally, Seton's always done a great job of just making them really physical, and they just kind of go through and they just force you to shoot a lot of shots over them. And I felt like we prepared really well for the swarm that we were going to feel in the post play, and the physicality of that, and just our ball movement, the post play, the chemistry there was as good as I've seen it all year. And Lexi and Cola, just how they played off of each other that entire night. Obviously, Lexi was fantastic. Cola was fantastic. Our post rotations and our depth, I thought, really showed. And we went into that game with a really big point of emphasis on the glass. And this is a team that had 3 or 4 kids on the offensive glass in the top 15 of the Big Sky Conference. And their leading offensive rebounder, we held to 0 awards in that contest. And so that was a really important stat, especially when you're on the road, to come through to finish that game well.
Yeah, no doubt. Plus 10 in this game of the rebounding battle. 7 combined assists from Deaton and Bad Bear. That's crazy to have 2 post players like that. It's really fun to watch the way those 2 players are able to just kind of find each other in such small windows. How do they have that vision to just find somebody, even though it's only 3 feet? That's a pretty blocked 3 feet sometimes.
For sure. I mean, chemistry takes a little bit of time, but they definitely have some experience together. And early in the season, we were really trying to keep them both at the 5, and Lexi was just coming on so well and too well that we needed to find more minutes for her, and we inserted her into the starting lineup to kind of come out with that fearless punch. And ever since those two have been playing more minutes together, they've just continued to evolve and grow. And want to give a lot of credit to our coaching staff, and Coach Mays oversees our post play. He's spent a lot of time with them on ways that we're countering. Coach Bussey on the offensive end, as she gets more actions of people cutting off the post play. We're just kind of, right now they're slowing down and finding some openings, and it's really just evolved both of them, but the entire post play is getting better and better every week.
So a nice 60-57 win, handing Idaho State their first loss in Big Sky play, and then the bus trip to Salt Lake with the stop at the Big Sky offices and a win against Weber 80-65. We're going to talk with Leah Beatty here in a little bit, but this was her ball game. 26 points, 6 of 10 from the three-point line, 6 of 6 from the free throw line. Tremendous game, 1 point shy of her season high, but man, shots seem to really be falling
if
for
I
her.
would have known that, Leah, I would have drawn up another play, right? Coach Mays, you should have heard him on the sideline. He's like, she's crashing because she's going to get more points on the board. I'm like, well, I like the way she's crashing. So her middle nickname is Buckets for a reason.
I like it.
And, she's just such a major weapon for us in every facet. And obviously the three ball is one thing that was going. But what people probably, you're talking about hitting a lot of threes, but how quickly she gets that shot off. Her release is very, very quick. And her teammates really found her well. And Weber was doing a great job of kind of plugging the paint up. So you gotta find some other ways to put some points on the board. And she certainly was a great answer for us in that second half.
Yeah, it's good to be quick, but I'm sure it helps too to have that pass right in that shooting pocket too. I mean, you can't be quick if
for
it's bouncing
sure.
around your ankles.
I'm trying to look at the assists with Darian and Grace. I know Grace had 7 assists on that game, but sometimes you look at some of your point guard distribution, and we were 15-10 on assist-to-turner ratio. And anytime we hit over that 14 mark on assists, I feel like good things are happening for us as a team. And that ball doesn't get stuck, gets moving. But I will tell you what, we were pretty slow out of the gate with that starting group, and that bench that came in and that first sub rotation, they gave us a huge lift. And I feel like our bench continues to get better and better every single game, and that's really showing through when you have this kind of travel schedule and so many games back to back.
Is this one of your deeper teams?
For sure. You could split up our group we've got 11 right now. We'll have 12 when Maddie's back in this week, and then we've got Brooke, so that gets us back up there to 13. And but what I will tell you is if you split any 2-5 at any practice of ours, it's a toss-up who's going to win that battle. So they're really, really competitive, and it's kind of like you're rotating 2 starting lineups out there, and very complementary. They all have their different gifts, but there's a lot of trust in this team with anybody we throw on the floor at any point, and given this conference, it's a really powerful situation for us to have. So you can overcome foul trouble, you can overcome travel, but they're playing very well.
Yeah, and you can really get some game-type speed and energy in practice when you can put 5-on-5 like that.
We during this holiday break, we have a really good scout team too. Our scout team, Easton, Easton was actually at our Pocatello game. Idaho State, his family is from the Salt Lake area, and so he came over with his family. But so much of the preseason, we were going up against the scout team because they're so good, they're so athletic, they're very good defensively. But during the holiday break, when they're not here in school and we're going up against each other, it's like a bloodbath. So there is something to be said for going up against each other and really competing.
Love that. Idaho game this last evening, so a 72-65 win. Another great effort on the glass, plus 15, and part of that was Lamardo and Darian White. Darian White, the first double-double of the year for the squad, 18 points, 11 boards. Really fun to see the way everybody was crashing the glass, especially with the guards. I mean, sometimes it just feels like some of these guards are sneaking in there. You didn't even know they were coming, and bam, they've got the rebound.
For sure, and the funny thing is those two are stoppers and protectors, so that's the running joke on transition defensive responsibilities. What I'll tell you is Darian, for us, stops the ball in transition, so she's got a little freedom because she's super quick. So we call it the nail. So it's the foul area where the shot goes up. We're going to put her there so she can stop the ball in transition. In Idaho, in transition, that was one of our most important key situations. But there's so many offensive rebounds she gets by just being in that territory, so to speak. And then you have KJ, we call her KJ for Caitlin, and if for some reason, Darian's a little bit higher, then KJ can be in that position and crash. And another she's like Spider-Man out there, and really had some big rebounds and big minutes for us. But yeah, they're very, very active, and Idaho has so many long rebounds with the three ball. I'm like, half of their shots are going to be from the 3-point line. So you really have to hunt those things down. Everything's going to be a little bit further away. So very active group, but we were paying a lot of attention to just keeping some fresh legs on the floor. Just granted the fact that Idaho was on their second game, we were on our third. We both traveled on Sunday. We knew we were going to have a little bit of heavy legs in some regard, but at the same time, this was round 2 for us in the brick, and so we felt like we were going to have some energy to play off of with that as well, and it definitely showed.
No doubt. And then another big milestone for Darian White, reaching 1,500 career points. No small feat. Man, that is impressive stuff, and she just keeps climbing the ladder.
Yeah, it's a big number. I'm like, you look at all of her numbers, and very few people have hit that number, so we're going to see how far she can continue to take that chart. But she really set the tone for us. I think the biggest difference for us is just how we came out with this game. We certainly weren't ready to go when we were on the road there, and that's on me. And I felt like our kids were kind of really locked into the game plan for this, but it started with her. She was super attack-minded and made some great decisions down the stretch, but really attacked well. But there's a lot more points to come from that one.
All right, a 3-0 week going into Cat Grizz Week coming up on Saturday. Women will be going at 2 p.m. over in Missoula. Quickly, just give us a couple of keys, some things that Montana does well and that you're going to have to go up against on Saturday.
Well, number one, Dahlberg. So I think you really got to factor in the communication piece, just getting our kids to lock in on each other and just kind of remove the distractions of the crowd noise and that sort of thing. It's going to be a huge atmosphere, which is super fun for all the fans. But for us, number two, it's going to continue just focusing on ourselves, to be quite honest. We got to do a great job on the glass. We're on the road. It's going to be a grind. We have adversity on the road. This is a team that is really good in transition. They've got a lot of floor balance. And they also have a really, really good bench that comes in and gives them a big lift. And so I think you're going to see who kind of goes through the paint and gets that balance. They run in transition similar to us. They go through their post play as well. They attack the paint, and we're going to have to do a great job of guarding them and forcing some tough shots and finishing plays.
Looking forward to it. It's going to be fun on Saturday. Head coach Tricia Binford, thank you so much for the time and the insight.
Thanks for being here.
All right. We'll take a break, and on the other side of the timeout, we'll talk with Leah Beatty. We are live from Montana's Ribbon Chop House, and you're listening to Cat Chat, presented by Learfield. Welcome back to Montana's Ribbon Chop House for Cat Chat. I'm Keaton Galogly, joined by junior Leah Beatty. Leah, how we doing?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm doing quite well. How'd you hold up after 3 games in 5 days? Feeling fresh?
Still feeling pretty fresh. Yeah, we do a lot with our trainer Bailey and getting kind of our recovery there. So it's been good to keep us fresh for those games.
No doubt. All right, so we're going to talk with Leah Beatty here a little bit. We're in our final segment of Cat Chat this week. No game on Thursday. Women play at 2, men play at 7 over in Missoula this week before we get back into kind of the regular grind of things. But Leah, a heck of a ball game the other day on Saturday with 26 points, 6 of 10 for 3. How are you feeling out there on Saturday?
I felt pretty good. I'm not going to lie. Before the game, I was kind of feeling like I was hitting my shots, and so I felt like that was kind of a good sign. And after you see those first few go in, the rim just kind of gets bigger and bigger. So I felt that kind of as the game progressed there.
Yeah, that is how it goes. It's kind of tricky, isn't it?
Yeah.
You also got to the line in this game a little bit, too. I mean, that was a season high in free throws. You went 6 of 6. What do you attribute that to? I mean, were you doing anything different, or was it just kind of the luck of the draw that day?
I think it was kind of towards the end of the game when they were down and they were fouling us to try to get back into the game. I was able to get some of those rebounds and just hold on to it. And so I was happy with being able to go down the stretch and knock down those free throws, because that's something that I kind of struggled with early on in my career. And so just having that confidence that, especially in a game like that where making all those threes, it kind of helped me have that confidence at the free throw line as well.
Yeah, what's it like mentally when you're in that big moment? You know you're like so close to being able to ice down a game. Like, I don't know, what is it in between the years?
Yeah, I think it's just knowing that, you know, how many free throws I've shot in my life. I've probably shot thousands of free throws, and just knowing that it's just me and the rim right here, and just not thinking too much about it, and just kind of doing your routine and knowing exactly what you've done in the past.
Yeah, does it help to come from such a basketball and coaching family?
Yeah, I think it does. It's huge. My mom and my aunt, my grandpa, my sister, like all of them were involved in my development as a player, especially in high school. And so I think having that knowledge, getting that from them at such a young age, has really helped me through my college career as well.
Yeah, well, break it down for us. So your mom and your aunt played, right?
Correct.
Okay. And then your grandfather was a part of the high school staff?
He was.
Okay. Did he play?
He did, yeah.
Okay. Where did he play? Like,
He
did he play
didn't-
college?
He
or
didn't play in college.
Just high school.
Yeah.
Okay. And how long has he been coaching over there then?
Oh, he coached all me and my sisters over there, so I
Yeah.
want to say that was probably at least 8 years.
Okay.
And then he coached my dad in high school in Montana.
Cool.
So he's been coaching for a long time.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay. And then how many siblings do you have?
3 sisters.
Okay. 3 sisters. Did
Yeah.
they all play too?
They did, yeah.
Okay.
They all
and
played in
which
high
one are
school.
you in the hierarchy of age?
I'm the youngest.
Okay. So did it help to like kind of go up against the older sisters on the basketball court?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I was on the practice squad, actually, when I was in 7th and 8th grade, and they were in high school. And so they bullied up on me a little bit. I think it was good for me to kind of toughen up at a young age, so that has helped me a lot.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, did that help you kind of when you first got to college? Because the speed is obviously drastically different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it did help me for sure. Just I also sat on the bench probably since I was in 5th grade between my aunt and my grandpa, so I kind of heard a lot of their feedback and like what they were thinking in the game. So I think I've just always kind of had that basketball mind and watching the game at kind of like a different speed. And so it was definitely an adjustment going from that high school level to that college level, because like you said, it's a lot faster. But I think just kind of having that helped me adjust better.
Yeah. So, you know, being around coaches so much like that, like, do you have any interest in going to coaching after your playing days are done?
I actually would not mind going back, potentially moving back to Texas, Midland, where I'm from,
Yeah.
and maybe coaching at the same high school that I went to. I think it would be really fun to kind of give back to the place that gave me a lot.
Yeah, that would be cool. That would be
Yeah.
a lot of fun. Okay, so we do have to talk about both your mom and your aunt played for that team in Maroon, right?
They
Yeah.
did, unfortunately.
So where are they now? Like, what's it like going into Cat Grizz Week when you've got the legacy of them, but now you're the current Cat?
Yeah, so initially it was kind of an adjustment for them to get used to that blue and gold color, because they kind of grew up with those maroon roots, but they've been nothing but supportive in this whole transition, and they get a little bit anxious for the game, especially in Missoula, because they haven't been on the other side of that, other than last year they were. But I think they're just really looking forward to getting to watch me play, where they also play. So they're really excited, and they'll be there.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Missoula.
Because
Yeah.
they're both still down in Texas right now.
Yeah,
But
they
they're
are.
coming up for the game.
Correct.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of. So the big question is, what are they wearing to the game? What
Oh,
colors?
blue and gold all the way, for sure. They'll
Love
be
that.
sporting it in a sea of maroon. They'll wear that.
I love that. It's so much fun on this show. How many different people we've talked to who now their parents had to switch the wardrobe out.
Yeah.
There's
yeah.
nothing you can do about it.
No, yeah, you got to do it.
I love that. Well, yeah, that's a lot of fun as we kind of get into that. What was it like? I mean, so did you still have family up here in Montana when you came up here to Montana State?
I did, yeah. So my grandparents still live here on both sides, and then also my cousins live in Missoula as well.
Okay, so
Yeah.
were you still traveling up to Montana a bunch as a kid, or were you mostly still down in Texas?
We did. We traveled to Montana a lot in the summers because I have some cousins in Missoula. I have some cousins in Phillipsburg, Anaconda, just kind of that whole area. So we would definitely go there in the summers and stuff.
But
yeah.
the summers, not the winters.
Yeah, summers,
your
not the
parents knew what to
winters.
do.
Yes, they did. They knew.
Well, so was it an adjustment for the winters when you got here?
It was initially. I think that first winter was like, wow, it's October and it's already snowing. Like it's going to be like this for a while. But I think I've adjusted well. I've really kind of enjoyed having that snow in December.
Yeah.
Like during Christmas time, it really makes it feel like Christmas because in Texas it could be 75 degrees and you could have a picnic outside on Christmas.
Right,
so
yeah.
it's a little bit weird, but I enjoy the winters during Christmas time.
Yes. Okay, so anytime you guys are like hosting recruits who are maybe from a warm area, like what do you tell them? What do you say, hey, here's how you survive the winter? What's your advice to people like that?
Oh man, I think just layer up. You just gotta start with you can always take the layers off, but you can't add them on after you're already out. So you gotta do that.
Yeah, I like that. It's very, very good advice. We're getting close to the end of our time, but I did have a couple other questions for you. Obviously you're from a coaching family and such a basketball family. So when you were making your collegiate decision to come here, what was it about Tricia Binford and some of the staff that stuck out to you? Because obviously you're going to have an eye for it. Like you've seen what you like and what you don't like about coaches. So what were some of the things that stood out of this coaching staff to help convince you to come here?
Yeah, I think it was really just the culture that they fostered here. It seemed like really a family, and they cared about your success off the court as well as on the court. And so I think I kind of had a connection with my aunt knew Sonny previously, so we kind of had that connection there. So I got to know Sonny really well through the recruiting process, and then Coach Ben, my mom played against her too, and so it was kind of just that instant like friendship that I felt with her, and I felt like this was really a place that I could thrive on the court as well as off the court. And of course, coming back to Montana, I've kind of always felt like it was my second home. So coming back here and having a bunch of family here and knowing that this is a place that my parents would want to come visit me and see all their families well, I think that played into it also.
Yeah. So what did your mom say about playing against Coach Ben? Was she like, oh, she was a dirty player, you don't want to go? Like, what did she say about playing against her?
Fortunately, she said she was a very classy player and that she was very dominant, very fast.
Yeah.
She had a great pull-up jumper, and so I think they were both two really good dominant point guards in the Big Sky Conference, and so kind of I actually was able to watch a game where they played against each other.
Oh, nice.
I found it on YouTube or
Love
something like
that.
that, and so I thought that was pretty sweet to see them go
What
at
did that
it.
look like? Like, were there any fun plays or anything out of it?
Oh, there's a couple that, honestly, I bet the Grizz still run today. Something about, like, high fist is basically just a ball screen and a drive for both of them because they were so quick.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of who could outrun the other one, essentially.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm sure the game looked drastically different. Like, it
Yes.
changed so much.
Very different. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Well, a lot of fun chatting with you. The Grizz coming up again on Saturday. Any little things in terms of that scouting report and what we're looking for in this game on Saturday?
I think we just have to really lock in as far as communication. As Coach Ben mentioned after the game, after Idaho, she said that we really, as a team, have to be able to communicate with each other because it's so loud in that gym.
Yeah.
So we're not always able to hear her. So I think if we just get really intentional about our huddles and like what we're looking for, and just stay composed, not let the crowd get too in our heads too much. Just kind of like stay level-headed and be really physical with them.
No doubt. Well, Leah Beatty, Jr., appreciate the time. Thank you for flipping both your mom and your aunt into the blue and gold, and we're looking forward to watching you on Saturday.
Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. Leah Beatty. All right, that'll wrap up this edition of Cat Chat. We'll, of course, be back here at Montana's Ribbon Chop House next Tuesday at 6:30 again for another edition of this great show. Thank you to Danny Sprinkle, Trisha Binford, Andy Hill, and Leah Beatty for joining us today. Will Gordon is our producer back in the studios, and this is Keaton Gillogly saying so long. We're live from Montana's Ribbon Chop House, and you've been listening to Cat Chat, presented by Learfield.